We have a wonderful speaker today. This is Jacob T. Davis from Woodbridge Real Estate. You might have heard him on the radio, seen him on YouTube, seen him around town. He's been a realtor for, I think, over a decade now, right?
13 years.
13 years,
yeah. So yeah, I'm Jacob T. Davis. I've kind of used the T in all my marketing for some reason. It kind of came from, I'm from the South originally. I grew up in South Carolina, and then I moved to Colfax. I went to high school in Colfax, and when I would introduce myself, I'd say I'm Jake Davis or Jacob Davis, and for some reason everybody would be like, "Oh, Jay Davis?" I'm like, "No, Jake Davis," and then the conversation would just kind of get off on the wrong kind of awkward foot, and so then I started going by Jacob, and the only person that would call me Jacob before was my mom when I was in trouble. So, and then the T, I'm not really sure I just kind of started with the Jacob T. Davis, because you always remember like Lee Harvey Oswald, infamous names like that, where they use a middle initial, and I was like, oh, that's kind of memorable. So I'm gonna kind of explain who I am and where I come from. And so I went to WSU, and I was an IT guy for 7 years at facilities at WSU, and then I kind of got into so I painted apartments during the summers. So that's kind of how I got into entrepreneurship. So I kind of have this contractor background where I would just crush work by myself, back in the day. And so I tend to look at projects thinking, oh, I could do that. I'll knock it out this weekend, So our building is 605 South Grand. And that's kind of what my talk today is. Not so much about commercial real estate, but my experience of buying a commercial building. So I bought this building, 605 South Grand is where the police locksmith is. It's probably on the busiest corner in Pullman. And so it looks like a prison currently. It's not the prettiest building. To me, it's so beautiful. Because I tend to look at really ugly buildings and just oh, there's so much potential. I could just do so much work and improve this. I get super excited about that. Whereas as pretty much 99% of everyone else will look at a building and freak out. Oh my God. Because I watch my clients do that when we go through really beat up houses. So I tend to not say, oh, that's not that much work, because then they'll be like, you're a liar, you're a liar. But I do this every day. I'm a real estate agent, but I also flip homes, and I'm a contractor. I've been a contractor for over 20 some years. And so when I try to give people my advice on this is about, well, if you do it yourself, it's going to be a lot cheaper. If you hire it out, it's probably $50,000, This building, it was on the market for over a year, I think. I was looking at it. I wasn't really looking at buying a building. I was paying $3,500 a month downtown. We leased that pre-COVID. I was so excited. Oh, we're gonna have this, great space downtown. There's gonna be so many people just walking in the door. And then COVID hits 3 months after we open up shop downtown. But anyways, so I'm paying $3,500 a month. Luckily, I only signed a 3-year lease. I don't know how I got away with that. But I mean, it was a great space for the time. I just was we had this basically empty office for 3 years, I'm like, why am I paying $3,500 a month, for you guys not to come to the office? And so I just was like, well, okay, I'm sick of paying rent. So that building was there. And so I was like, well, how am I going to buy this thing? I mean, it was $1.8 million. So that's a lot of money. Down payment's a big chunk of money. So luckily, I had already been investing in rental income producing properties. So I had a townhome on Parr Drive, and then I had 2 other properties. And so I sold this 325 Northwest Parr because I had quite a bit of equity in that. Sold that for $325,000. and then did a 1031 exchange into this building that I bought. I had to get like $500,000 for the down payment. So between that and then, yeah, it was a big chunk. I had to pull, but it all worked out magically. Right then, this was at the beginning of last year, and so interest rates hadn't started climbing yet. And so luckily I refinanced 3 other properties, pulled equity out, sold that property, so got the low interest rate, and then had enough cash for that down payment. I went with Freedom Northwest Credit Union. They will finance anything. Okay, maybe not anything, but like Freedom Northwest Credit Union is amazing.
Okay, could you educate us on 1031 exchange?
Yes, okay. So 1031 exchange is how rich get richer. It's how you can sell a property. So let's say I've got this say I got this townhome, $325,000. I can sell that and not pay capital gains and roll, but I have to buy a property that's $325,000 or higher to make the exchange work. You could buy lower, but then you got to pay some capital gains. So Pioneer Title, I use Pioneer Title a lot in town. And they also have a 1031 exchange side of that business down in Boise. So I use Pioneer Title 1031 in Boise for all my 1031s. And so, so anyways, it's just a way to basically not pay capital gains. And, when you're getting an investment property, the longer you hold on to investment real estate, the less benefit you have. When you buy investment real estate, you have depreciation that saves you a ton of money in tax. But the longer you own a property, the less depreciation you can take against that property. And so after a certain amount of years, like people that hold on to the same property forever, they're missing out on a lot of benefits. And so I don't know, I can't sell you when you should sell, but I think for me, this just worked out. I think if you own single family rental properties, you should sell those and invest in multifamily where you can get more cash flow. It just makes sense. You make more money. And so that's what I did. I sold single family, bought 12 units. I figured that's not a bad upgrade, 1 door to 15. Well, because I got three retail too, and so plus I'm saving $3,500 a month. So the other thing that goes along with buying a building is you inherit the tenants, you inherit the property management company, you inherit the insurance policy. Insurance was something I didn't really do enough due diligence on, and luckily the insurance company was able to continue the insurance because a lot of insurance companies wouldn't. But that building was already insured with Farmers Insurance out of Moscow, Greg Kimberling. And so they were able to continue my insurance, thankfully, but my insurance went after I bought it. So it's...
Why? What do you think the reason for that was?
Because I'm not as rich as the other guy was, I guess. I didn't own as many properties as the previous owner, I think, is kind of what it sounded like. So my insurance is a ton of money on that building. Taxes are a lot. Maintenance has been a ton. I had one $5,000 snow removal bill for December. So I was like, yeah, so maintenance on any rental property, you got to get a hold of it because maintenance will kill you. The one thing about that building is it has a central heating system, so I'm paying for everybody's heat there, and so I'm going to be disconnecting that. Our office used to be a barber shop, so that took quite a bit of money, because we put new flooring, some new walls, new paint, new texture. It had popcorn ceilings, so we had to take that down. I hired these guys out of Spokane to retexture the whole space. They're awesome. I painted it. And then we put all new desks in there. There's some big expenses there that I am slowly cutting out so that it can become profitable. I think I can double what I paid for it within the next 2 years. Like, I think it can be worth $3.5 million or more, just by improving it. In real estate investing, it's all about cap rate. Cap rate is basically gross rents minus expenses equals net operating income. And so you divide net operating income by purchase price. So let's say you've got a building and you get, after expenses, you're netting $10,000 a month. When you divide that by the purchase price, and in Pullman, if you're like and also interest rates come into effect. So if your cap rate is like 6% and interest rates are 7%, you don't make money. And the only reason why you would buy that is you have alternative, like for me, I am putting my office there. I have a shop. When I bought that building, it was like a 4 cap rate. It wasn't very good. But interest rates were 5. This is probably the best time to buy a property that you're going to see for a while. Like I'm trying to buy as much stuff as I can because interest rates, it's the best way to negotiate. We're kind of in a, I think, unique environment, and it won't last because builders aren't building right now, so specs aren't being built. And so what that does is supply dries up, and then it creates more pressure on the buying side. I'm not an economist, but I just see this every day, and there's only like 35 homes on the market, I think. There might be even less in Pullman.
With the building on Grand and Center, what did you say the purchase price was?
1.8.
How did you guys arrive at that, and how much back and forth happened?
That was the seller came up with that.
How did they come up with that?
Mostly, I think that's what they wanted, and I overpaid for it. I mean, I know I did, but there was some buyers coming in, and I felt like I had to jump on it if I wanted to buy it. And so investors tend to always want a deal, which they're investors. Like, everybody wants a deal, right? And so I kind of took the approach, I just offered asking, and they took it. Yes.
So Jacob, you've talked a lot about commercial buildings with a lot of rental capacity. What about for smaller commercial buildings that don't really have as much rental capacity, and someone who's not looking at a $1.8 million purchase, but a smaller purchase? What are some kind of best practices when they don't have 5 rental suites that they can generate income off of?
Yeah, I mean, I would say go that route. Like, don't buy a multi-use building like I did. Just buy like a small commercial building. And in this packet, there is one building I thought was kind of interesting. I didn't really notice it until I was looking at this. It's on Ritchie Street for $325. So I think that's actually a really good commercial space for $325. I mean, that seems like a good deal. I also think the Pro Mall, like if you need an office, the Pro Mall is like pretty great. Yeah. I mean, there's condo fees there, but they're not too bad, and it's only $90,000. It's $412 a month. So, but you don't have to worry about maintenance. You don't have to worry about all the stuff I went through. It's like, so if you want to own a space, plus you get signage, I think, on that building. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. Like.
So with your building, since there's like 3 main parts to it, how do you handle the commercial side of the building versus the commercial investment side of the building versus the investment side of the building? Renter leases a commercial renter and then your office there. Like, it feels like you have to do very specific things with each part of it.
My rental company manages the commercial and residential side. I could manage the commercial side. I mean, that would be pretty easy. The tenants are great. Police locksmith, Dave, I love that guy. He's awesome at fixing locks. But I just have them manage all that. And then my shop, it's basically just my stuff there. So the management of it, I don't really do anything. I do have a gal that helps me on maintenance. She kind of helps like schedule maintenance. So she'll reach out to the tenant. That was one thing I did is I took the control from the property manager away on the maintenance side. And I have somebody who helps me manage the maintenance.
That being said, we are at our time limit for the day, but if you do have more questions, Jake will be around for a little bit longer to answer questions more directly. Thank you all so much for coming today. This is an awesome session again to learn more about the process and experiences and things to watch out for, pitfalls, insurance.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Enjoy this.
Thanks, Jacob.